I never believed in timing. I always thought things either happened or they didn't. But when I think about how I met Emma, I realize timing is everything. It started in the most ordinary way through a random group chat. A friend of mine was hosting a small online project during the lockdown, trying to bring people together to share creative ideas. I joined because I was bored and lonely, like most people then, and that's where I first saw her name, Emma. She wasn't even supposed to be there that day. Someone added her last minute. At first, she barely spoke. Just a few comments. Funny, sharp, a bit sarcastic. I liked that. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She just said what she thought, and somehow that made me want to hear more. A few days later, I found myself messaging her privately. Something about a playlist we'd both mentioned. That first chat went on for hours. We talked about music, food, stupid memes, travel dreams we couldn't afford. Felt easy, like talking to someone I'd known for years. The next few weeks, she became part of my routine. Morning messages, random photos of her coffee, late-night voice calls that turned into confessions about childhood, family, and the kind of people we wanted to become. I started to realize I was waiting for her texts more than anyone else's. But I didn't want to admit I was falling for someone I'd never even met in person. It sounded ridiculous. Still, when lockdown finally ended and we both happened to be in the same city, I asked if she wanted to meet. She said yes. I'll never forget that first meeting. It wasn't cinematic, no slow-motion scenes or dramatic background music. Just a small cafe, a quiet afternoon, and me nervously adjusting my shirt while pretending to read the menu. When she walked in, I almost forgot to breathe. She looked exactly like her pictures, but somehow more real, more alive. Her hair caught the sunlight just right, and she smiled in this half-shy, half-confident way that made everything else disappear. We talked for hours, about everything and nothing, and when we finally said goodbye, I remember her saying softly, "It's weird. It feels like I've known you for a long time." Yeah. That's when I knew I was in trouble. After that day, everything moved fast. Weekend walks turned into movie nights. Movie nights turned into sleepovers. And before I knew it, I couldn't imagine my days without her. Emma was different. She wasn't loud or overly romantic, but she cared in small, intentional ways. The kind of person who'd notice when you were quiet and ask, "Are you okay?" instead of ignoring it. She made me laugh at the dumbest things. And every time I looked at her, I felt that strange mix of calm and excitement, like the world finally made sense. But life, as it does, had other plans. About 6 months in, she got a job offer, a big one. It was everything she'd worked for. A design position in another country, a real chance to grow. She was scared to tell me. I could see it in her eyes when she finally did. I didn't even think twice. I told her to take it. She tried to smile, but I could tell it broke her heart too. We promised we'd make it work. Everyone says that. Few actually do. The first few weeks apart were fine. We texted constantly, called every night, watched Netflix together on calls like teenagers. But as her new job got busier and the time zones started to wear us down, the silence between us grew louder. Sometimes she'd fall asleep before my messages reached her. Sometimes I'd wake up to hers from hours earlier, feeling like we were living in parallel worlds. We started missing small things, morning routines, inside jokes, that quiet comfort of having someone next to you. I told myself it was just temporary, that love could survive anything. But deep down, I was scared. Not of losing her, but of slowly becoming strangers again. It's strange how distance doesn't kill love all at once. It eats away at it slowly, quietly, like rust. We started arguing more. Over stupid things, missed calls, short replies, unread messages. I'd say something dumb, she'd go silent, and then we'd both end up apologizing even though neither of us really knew why. I could hear it in her voice sometimes. The exhaustion, the loneliness. She was surrounded by new people, new places, new energy. And I was stuck in the same apartment, the same job, the same life. Then came the breaking point. I was supposed to visit her. I'd saved up for months, planned everything. But a week before the flight, my dad got sick. I canceled the trip without telling her immediately, I just didn't have the energy to explain. When I finally did, she thought I was lying. She thought I'd found an excuse not to come. We had our worst fight that night. She said, "I feel like you're not even trying anymore." I said, "You don't even ask what's going on with me." We both said things we didn't mean. Then silence. Days turned into weeks. Messages went unread. For the first time, I thought maybe this was it. Maybe love wasn't enough. Took me a while to reach out again. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know what to say. Then one night, out of nowhere, she texted, "I miss you, even when I don't want to." That broke me. We called. Talked for hours, really talked this time. About how hard it was. How scared we both were of losing each other. I told her about my dad. About how helpless I felt. She cried. She said she wished I'd told her sooner. We apologized, not just for the fight, but for all the small ways we'd stopped showing up for each other. After that, something changed. We stopped pretending things were easy. We started being honest, even when it hurt. We made new habits, scheduled video calls, morning voice notes, weekend virtual dinners. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real again. Months later, she came home for a short visit. When I saw her at the airport, I didn't say a word. I just held her for a long time. And in that moment, I realized something. Love isn't about proximity. It's about presence. A year after that, I made a decision. I quit my job, packed my life into 2 suitcases, and moved to her city. She didn't ask me to. I just knew it was time. When I arrived, she was waiting at the airport. Same nervous smile, same spark in her eyes. We hugged, and she whispered, "You're really here." I said, "Finally." Life since then hasn't been perfect. We still argue sometimes, still get lost in work, still forget to say the right things. But we always find our way back. Sometimes, late at night, when we're lying together and she's half asleep, I think about how close we came to losing it all. And I whisper, "I'm glad we didn't give up, because love, real love, isn't the grand gestures or dramatic stories. It's choosing the same person every day, even when it's hard." The distance between us was never really about miles. It was about learning to close the space between 2 hearts, and realizing that sometimes, love travels farther than we ever could.